Welcome to the 2022 Arrowfield Stallion Parade. It's the first time in 3 years that we've been able to show our stallions. This year we have 9 stallions in the roster, and those active ones have had a tremendous year on the track and in the sale ring. We look forward to being part of your breeding program into the future.
Good morning, my name is Susan Archer, and it's my pleasure on behalf of John and Chris Massara, Paul and Alice Massara and the entire Arrowfield team to welcome you to the 2022 Arrowfield Stallion Open House. An extra special joy this year because it's our first live public stallion parade since 2019. Thank you for joining us to inspect the stallions and celebrate a truly exceptional year, and look forward to all that 2022-23 promises everyone with an Arrowfield side foal, yearling, unraced 2-year-old or racehorse in training. The 9 stallions on our 2022 roster include 2 horses of the year, 4 champions, and the winners of $30 million prize money and 25 Group 1 races in Australia, Japan, Hong Kong, France and England. Arrowfield's roster is young, with 4 stallions yet to have runners, and it's headed by a 4-time champion sire and last season's champion second season sire of Australia. All up, our 5 stallions with racing progeny have collectively sired 160 stakes winners, including 33 Group 1 winners. Last season alone, and not yet operating at full power, our 2022 roster generated more than $155 million in yearling sale returns to breeders and prize money returns to owners. So without further ado, let's present the stallions that can help you create your greatness in 2022. The first horse we're going to see is the 6-time Group 1 winner, the Group 1 sire, and now a very smart play for smart breeders. This is Done Deal, the son of High Chaparral, presented for us by our outstanding stallion manager, Joe Hickey, and standing this season at a fee of $66,000, including GST. You know, we all dream of pulling off a seriously smart play in the breeding game. You know what I'm talking about, breeding to a stallion whose prospects significantly exceed his current fee, and 2.5 years later, achieving a brilliant sale ring result, and maybe also breeding the horse of a lifetime. The problem with this kind of play is that you mostly hear about it after it's all over and the opportunity is well and truly gone. Well, we're telling you now that Done Deal is a stallion to back this season so that in 2025, you're the one telling the story. And here's why. We know what Done Deal is capable of. 1 Group 1 winner in a stallion's first couple of crops might be a fluke, but 5 Group 1 winners in his first 2 crops, that's a statement of enduring class. Done Deal is a proper Group 1 sire with 2 smashing colts, Super Seth and Castel Vecchio, already at stud. He has the numbers, more than 300 just turned 2-year-olds and yearlings, about 1/3 more than his previous 2 crops, all bred in the wake of Castel Vecchio and Super Seth. And boy, does Done Deal have the quality. Their dams include more than 3 times the number of stakes performed mares and twice the number of stakes producers that produced Done Deal's stunning first 2 crops. No fewer than 18 of those mares are Group 1 winners, including LA Wonder, Jamaica, Maid of Heaven and Stay With Me, who have all visited him twice and, as it happens, have each produced a colt and a filly to Done Deal. Now the market has already latched on to what's happening with Dundeal, giving him a career best English Easter average of $368,000 and his first $2 million yearlings, one a filly and one a colt. Best of all, those yearlings, now 2-year-olds, are in Australia's very best stables, including Ma and Eustace, Danny O'Brien, Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott, Godolphin, Team Hawkes, John O'Shea, Lindsay Park, Mick Price and Michael Kent Jr., Gerald Ryan and Sterling Alexiou, and Freedman Racing. In fact, one of those stables targeted Dundeal, bought 5 yearlings by him, and predicts he'll be a top 10 Australian sire in 2024-25. We're not about to disagree with the considered judgment of Hall of Fame trainer Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. And it's becoming clearer by the day that High Chaparral's sons are finding the most secure foothold for the Sadler's World sire line in Australia. So You Think, Toronado and Dundeal. And currently, Dundeal is the most affordable option of the 3. You may be wondering, of course, if Arrowfield is taking advantage of the Dundeal play. And the answer is, too right we are. Among the Arrowfield mares visiting Dundeal this season are Super Seth's Dam Salutations, Bend the Knees Dam Kneeling, Missile Mantra's Dam, We Can Say Mac, Group 1 winner Stay With Me, and her mother, the Queen of Arrowfield, Miss Finland. This is Dundeal, standing this season at a fee of $66,000, including GST. Well, this guy, I think he qualifies as a fair dinkum Aussie. He has made himself right at home in Australia with the big results that Australian owners and breeders love to achieve on the track and in the ring. This is Shalah, presented for us by Alex Whitaker and standing in 2022 at $33,000, including GST. A top 5 sire of 2-year-olds in Australia, with only his 2nd crop. And more 2-year-old stakes winners from fewer runners than Russian Revolution, Spirit of Boom and Sebring. That was Shalah's record last season after 53 Australian winners, 14 of them 2-year-olds. Those 2-year-olds were headed by 3 horses we're going to see plenty more of this season. English Banner and Group 3 Kindergarten Stakes winner Semillon, Group 2 Riesling Stakes winner Seven Veils, targeting the Group 1 Flight Stakes, and at the end of last season, Prime Thoroughbreds filly, the listed Flemington winner Quang Tri. In fact, Shalah's 10 best Australian performers have all earned black type at 2, and he added a new stakes performer yesterday in the Mitchell Mackenzie Stakes, Charlemagne, terrific runner-up, a new stakes performer for Shalah. It's a very competitive and pretty fickle Australian marketplace, but Shalah has been amazingly consistent, averaging 5 times his fee across 218 yearlings sold from his first 3 crops. That's because he consistently leaves attractive athletic yearlings with all the quality and refinement you can see in front of you now. This year, every Shalah yearling offered at Magic Millions, Melbourne Premier and English Easter sold, averaging $187,000. Top price, $500,000. That was paid by the Waterhouse Bott and Kestrel team for Segenho Stud's filly out of Set for Fame. And his top-priced colt, out of Jemison, was bought for $440,000 from the Arrowfield draft by Snowden Racing and William Johnson. And Shalah is backed by very solid numbers in the pipeline too. He'll have more than 250 2-year-olds, yearlings and foals to keep his pot boiling, so that your 2025 yearling by Shalah will land in a market keen to buy them. You know, we can't be too surprised by any of this because Shalah was himself a champion European 2-year-old, won his second start as the equivalent of an Australian pre-Christmas 2-year-old, went on to win all of his remaining starts at 2 in 4 of the best juvenile races in Europe, including the Group 1 Deauville Prix Morny and the Newmarket Middle Park Stakes. At the end of his 2-year-old season, Shalah was rated 121 by Timeform, which would have made him Australia's champion 2-year-old, more often than not. It's a real bonus for Australian breeders that although he's from the Danzig sire line, he's free of Danehill, and he's already clicked brilliantly with mares by Redout's Choice and Not a Single Doubt to produce a Riesling Stakes winner and a Magic Millions winner. Here's the brilliant son of Redout's Choice, already sire of a 2-year-old group winner and our pick to succeed you-know-who. This is Pariah, presented by Mitchell Ralph, standing at $16,500 including GST. You-know-who, in case you haven't worked it out, is our much-loved superstar, Not a Single Doubt, whose death this year left a space at Arrowfield that this guy, Pariah, is so perfectly qualified to fill. And I don't have to stretch the truth at all to compare Pariah with Not a Single Doubt. Let's consider a few of the similarities. Both brilliantly fast sons of Redout's Choice, and both Arrowfield homebreds. Both won the Canonbury Stakes, Pariah doing it on debut, and then going on to run a pretty unlucky second, it has to be said, in the Group 1 Blue Diamond Stakes. Both added a second stakes win at 3, Pariah achieving that in the Group 3 San Domenico. And both come from distinguished stallion-producing families. In Pariah's case, he's a 3-quarter brother to dual Group 1 winning sprinter Melito, and descended from a half-sister to leading sire Zedatav. But the comparison really gets interesting when we line up Pariah's record now with Not a Single Doubt's record in August 2009, with their oldest progeny just turned 3-year-olds. At that point, Not a Single Doubt had 3 stakes performers, none of them a stakes winner and none of them in Australia. Whereas Pariah, with 2/3 of Not a Single Doubt's runners at the same stage, has fielded a quality 2-year-old colt, Swiss Exile, winner of the Group 2 Champagne Classic, twice group placed, heading for the Caulfield Guineas, and an impressive trial winner on Friday. And stakes-placed fillies Vagrant and Runaway Bell, all of them in Australia. In fact, last season Pariah was one of only 4 first-season sires that left an Australian 2-year-old stakes winner, which is something Not a Single Doubt managed only when his second crop appeared. As for Pariah's second crop, they've already confirmed our confidence in his future. He averaged better than 4 times his fee across all his second crop sale yearlings, up to a top price of $280,000 paid for Toluganvale's lovely filly out of Hell It's Hot. His major sale average increased 20% on his first crop figure to $136,000, almost 7 times his fee. And those second crop Pariah buyers included a bunch of outstanding judges. Derby Racing, they bought 3. Annabelle Neesham, trainer of Swiss Exile, she bought 3. Chris Lees, Tony Gollan, Gary Portelli, Mick Price, Basuton Racing, Kieran Maher, Danny O'Brien, as well as Pariah's own buyer and racing manager, James Harron. And this is a great year to breed to him, on the back of the 301 mares he served in 2020 and 2021. You know, I think I was saying something similar back in 2010 when we had 6 young guns on our roster. Every single one of them turned out to be a Group 1 sire, including a couple of Redout's Choice sons standing at $27,500 and $13,750. That was Schnitzel and Not a Single Doubt. And do I believe that history repeats? You bet I do. This is Pariah, standing in 2022 at $16,500, including GST. His first crop are now yearlings, but this is his first public parade. The Champagne 2-year-old, the Guineas and Cox Plate 3-year-old. This is Castel Vecchio, standing at $27,500, including GST, and paraded for us by Joe Hickey. It was a Friday night in Sydney, January 2019, and fortunately, I remembered to have a bet on a done deal 2-year-old colt that Arrowfield had sold at the 2018 Inglis Classic sale to long-time owners and friends of the farm, Ottavio and Wendy Galetta, who are here today. I was hoping that we could deliver, or that he could deliver, a first-up win for the Galettas and Richard Litt. But I wasn't that confident after seeing his odds of 60-1. And things didn't improve much after Castel Vecchio jumped and ended up last, until he came round the bend, found a gap, balanced up, and simply exploded over the last 100 metres to win going away. It was a performance very like Done Deal's own maiden win, but it came earlier in Castel Vecchio's career as a summer 2-year-old. And he was able to go straight on into late summer and autumn 2-year-old racing, and that immediately marked him as a very exciting prospect indeed. And boy, he went straight on with the job, rounding up the field in the Inglis Millennium, placing in the Skyline and the Sire's Produce, and then defeating Loving Gabby in the Group 1 Champagne Stakes in 1:33.31. The fastest 1,600 metre time ever posted by a 2-year-old at Randwick. That earned Castel Vecchio a rating of 121, alongside Microphone at the head of the Timeform 2-year-old handicap. He stepped up another notch as a spring 3-year-old to put up a world-class performance in the Cox Plate, defeating Tiakau Shark from New Zealand, Magic Wand from Europe, Mystic Journey from Australia, and a mare called Very Elegant, to finish only 1.5 lengths behind Japan's Horse of the Year, Les Gracieux, who was rated above Winx and inferior only to Enable among the world's best mares in 2019. And by the way, that was the third top-rated Cox Plate of the last 9 years, ranking above 2 of Winx's 4 Cox Plate victories. Castel Vecchio returned in the autumn for the final flourish, his second Group 1 victory in the Rosehill Guineas, sealing his status as Australia's joint champion 3-year-old with a figure of 120. Winning a Group 1 race at both 2 and 3 is something that only the very best colts do, and they make great stallions. Like Champion Sires Redute's Choice and Flying Spur, like Vane, Snippets and Piero, and 3 stallions on our current roster, including Castel Vecchio. So far, the market likes what it sees of the Castel Vecchios. His Magic Millions weanling sale average was $115,000, with a top price of $160,000 paid for Kenmore Lodge's Wednesday Avenue colt bought by Suman Hedge. But like us, most breeders are obviously pretty happy to keep their Castel Vecchios for the 2023 yearling sales, and Arrowfield will launch him with around 40 yearlings for all the major auctions. I can't imagine that you need any further persuasion to send a mare to Castel Vecchio, but if you do, please have a chat with Paul Massara, John Frere and Matt Hill, who've seen all our Castel Vecchios and very recently too, and can explain exactly why we're so excited about him. And have a chat with our pedigree analyst, Peter Jenkins, who can tell you about his uncanny resemblance to his great-grandsire, the great American stallion deputy minister, and tell you why too. He's very keen on more than ready mares for Castel Vecchio, standing at $27,500 including GST. Our two Japanese stallions, Morris and Admire Mars, are completing their quarantine requirements, so are not parading in front of us today. Morris, of course, is Australia's champion second season sire of 2021-22, while Admire Mars is the unbeaten champion 2-year-old colt and 3-time Group 1 winning miler. Morris has made a simply sensational start to his career in Australia, leaving 2 Group 1 winners among his first crop 3-year-olds. Triple Classic winner Hitotsu, winner of the Victoria Derby, the Australian Guineas and the Australian Derby, and Mazu, winner of the Doomben 10,000, who, all going well, will run for the Star and Arrowfield in this year's $15 million running of the Everest. There's just a wee problem for breeders. Morris is already fully booked for 2022 with a strict limit on numbers and a wait list. But Admire Mars is a great alternative option from the powerhouse of Japanese breeding and racing, because just like Morris, he was a terrific miler, but also an unbeaten champion 2-year-old colt. He is the only 3-year-old to win the Group 1 Hong Kong Mile, and he won it in near record time of 1:33.25, faster than Morris, faster than Beauty Generation, faster than Golden 60, and faster even than Sunline 22 years ago. No shortage of quality in his pedigree either. He's by Sunday Silence's son, Daiwa Major, who was a 2-time champion sprinter miler, champion first and second season sire, a champion sire of 2-year-olds, and a solid top 10 sire in Japan for a decade. He's had 42 stakes winners, including 3 champion 2-year-olds. Admire Mars's dam via Medici is a French group winner, descended from a sister to the major racehorse and stallion, Rebo. We've only had 2 Admire Mars foals so far this spring, both of them fillies, both a spitting image of Dad, and both given a very firm thumbs up by our hard-to-please stud manager, Matt Hill. Arrowfield is very happy to be backing Admire Mars again this season with around 35 mares, and we're proud to offer him to breeders at $22,000, including GST. Our next stallion is one of only 2 horses honoured with a Tanya Bartlett sculpture here at Arrowfield. He is the history-making 4-time champion sire of Australia, and looking even more glorious in the flesh than he does in bronze. This is Schnitzel, presented by Alex Whitaker and standing at $220,000 including GST, and every single day building his legend as one of the world's truly great stallions. So what do we know about Schnitzel? We know that the Schnitzels win the big races, from the Golden Slipper to the Cox Plate, the Guineas, the major sprints, the Magic Millions 2-year-old Classic, the Everest. Last season, they won the Golden Rose, the Moir, and the 1,000 Guineas. He's averaged 1 black type win every 13 days for the past 6 years. And he's not slackening his pace, not even a little bit. Last season he notched up 28 stakes wins, 1 every 13 days. And sure enough, 13 days into this season, up pops a new Schnitzel Stakes winner, Zuccarino in the Rosebud. He's rewarded owners and trainers, breeders and vendors with more than $500 million in prize money and yearling sales. Last season's total, more than $63 million. He's a one-horse economy. Schnitzel has had $44 million yearlings since 2013. That's an average of around 4 or 5 each year. But this year, he's had a career best 10 yearlings sold for $1 million or more. And the highest price paid at auction for any horse in Australia last season, $4 million for the beautiful filly Away Game. His English Easter average has been better than $450,000 since 2017, but he went to a whole new level this year with 24 Easter yearlings, averaging a career best $717,000. Schnitzel starts most racing seasons fast, and every year since 2014 he's had at least one August Stakes winner. Bruckner and In the Congo did the job last August, and Schnitzel has already ticked that box this season thanks to Zuccarino's superb victory in the Rosebud. That's Stakes winner number 124 and his 4th Rosebud winner after Thronum, Minari and Sandbar. Schnitzel has averaged around 3 two-year-old stakes winners every season for the last 13 years. Last season, he produced 4: Colts, Best of Bordeaux, Williamsburg and Lofty Strike, and the filly Stroll. And he generates the hottest of stallion prospects. Last season alone, 10 Schnitzel colts earned that status, and 7 of them remain in training this season. No surprise that his best sons are hot properties, when 5 of them have left stakes winners, including last season's top 5 sire, Seamus Award, and champion first season sire, Russian Revolution. Same story with Schnitzel's broodmare daughters. A year ago, he had 7 stakes winners in that role as a broodmare sire. Now he has 17. This is not a champion stallion easing into his twilight years. This is a leather jacket wearing, rule defying rock god opening the throttle to see how fast and how far he can go. And all I can say is hang on tight, because you ain't seen nothing yet. This is Schnitzel, standing in 2022 at $220,000, including GST. Okay, I confess it, my heart skips a beat when I see this guy. I absolutely loved him as a racehorse. The brilliant group-winning sprinter miler, the gorgeous son of Schnitzel that we have chosen to stand at Arrowfield. It's Showtime. Presented by Mitchell Ralph and standing at a fee of $11,000, including GST. Remember, this is the slot on our roster that has previously launched the careers of leading sire, Not a Single Doubt, champion sire, Not a Single Doubt, and Group 1 sire, Beneteau. And the last 2 champion sires of Australia, who began their stud careers at fees of $11,000 and $8,250. Just like those 4 stallions, Showtime is tailor-made for all you breeders out there looking for serious value with maximum potential. A stallion with Group 1 ability, but without that Group 1 win on his record and the associated price tag. So, at this stage of Showtime's career, what have we learned about him? We know how his first crop yearlings sold. First 20 yearlings at Magic Millions and Classic averaged almost 8 times his fee. Add his results at Melbourne and Adelaide, and his average was still a very healthy $70,000. Marlua Bloodstock paid his top price of $230,000 for the Line Honours filly, while leading South Australian trainers Richard and Chantel Jolly went to $200,000 for Rhinewood Pastoral's colt out of Kiss Me Sophie. We know Showtime has the numbers to make an impact. He has 90 first crop 2-year-olds and more than 200 foals in his first 3 crops. We know that he's already, you may not know this, little more than 2 weeks into the season, sent out a trial runner in New Zealand. a strapping filly who was second in a trial at Avondale last Tuesday. And we know how those other sons of Schnitzel are doing at stud. I think it's fair to say they're doing okay. In all, Schnitzel has 11 Australian-based sons with runners, and 5 of them have left stakes winners, including leading sire Seamus Award and champion first season sire Russian Revolution. And like Showtime, neither of them was a stakes winning juvenile. All 3 of them hit top form after their 2-year-old seasons. In Showtime's case, that meant winning the Group 2 Stut Stakes, beating Hartnell no less, fair and square in the Group 2 Weight for Age PB Lawrence Stakes, and placing at Group 1 level behind Trapeze Artist and Le Romain, Tosin Stardom and Brave Smash. That said, Showtime's 2-year-old record was seriously good. He was second at his October debut, then competed with distinction in the very best company against She Will Reign, Gunnison, Invader, Pariah and Doubt I'm Dreaming. His record tells the story. Almost 3/4 of his starts were in group races, and he was only 4 times outside the first 5 home. And finally, don't forget, Arrowfield really knows how to succeed with homebred sires. Dan Zero, Flying Spur, Not a Single Doubt, Beneteau, and on our current roster, Pariah, The Autumn Sun, Castel Vecchio, and this guy, Showtime, a top draw colt at a bottom draw fee. Showtime standing at $11,000 including GST. Here is the 5-time Group 1 winner at 2 and 3, the champion 3-year-old colt. This year's leading first season sire by yearling sale average and on pedigree, performance, and very definitely his looks. The one Australian stallion that we dare to compare with the European, now global super sire, Frankel. This is the Autumn Sun, paraded for us by Joe Hickey and standing at $66,000 including GST. And a special welcome to Shannon Beasley from Hermitage Thoroughbreds. When Paul Massara sent me the parade order for the stallions on show today, it looked fine to me, except for one thing that I queried, and that was the placement of the Autumn Sun in this spot, our last stallion to parade. I'd assumed that it's reserved for the current head of the roster, but Joe Hickey here put me right, saying simply, that was always Redoutz's spot. And that pretty much sums up, better than I can, our aspirations for the Autumn Sun. For this is the best racing colt by the legend Redout's Choice, and perhaps his final masterpiece, his last gift to all of us. The Autumn Sun is the result we dreamed of from Arrowfield's partnership with His Highness the Aga Khan. The near unbeaten colt, sensational from 1,200 metres to 2,000 metres, who was by turns the dominant JJ Atkins 2-year-old, the explosive spring 3-year-old in the Golden Rose, the imperious Caulfield Guineas winner, the heart-stopping, heart attack-inducing victor in the Randwick Guineas, and finally, on ground he did not enjoy heavy track that day in the Rosehill Guineas, the Warrior Prince. He was the yearling that we sold for $700,000 and then pushed the boat out, a long way out, to secure for our roster. Because for John Massara, one of the world's greatest stallion makers, this was a horse he simply had to have. Arrowfield and Hermitage have backed him to the hilt, and he's received incredible support from other Australian, New Zealand and global breeders, sending him 432 mares in his first 3 seasons. And oh my goodness, his first crop yearlings have delivered incredible, outstanding early rewards for that support. 76 of them averaging $301,000 in 2022. That figure rose to $388,000 at Magic Millions and $315,000 at Inglis Easter, with 2 colts and a filly selling for $900,000, $925,000 and $950,000. That all made the Autumn Sun the season's leading first season sire in Australian sale rings. But as my colleague John Freer regularly reminds me, we're here to breed racehorses, and the measure that matters is the winning post. So that first crop's opportunity is critical, and the list of trainers includes every name you'd hope to see. Basuton and Young, multiple Freedmans, McAvoy, Moody, Marr and Eustace, O'Shea, Waterhouse and Bott, and the Autumn Sun's own champion trainer, Chris Waller. This is the season to back John Massara's judgment and the market's verdict and double down on the Autumn Sun, which is exactly what Arrowfield and our global breeding partners are doing, sending him 44 mares in 2022. The Autumn Sun standing at $66,000, including GST. Thank you so much for your interest and your support today. Thank you to Joe Hickey and our magnificent stallion team, our farm and property team, the farm looking fantastic, our hospitality team as well. We wish you all the very best of good fortune, fun and pleasure in racing and breeding this coming season.